just give it a couple of minutes until we can get some people joining. Let me check if the link's working on the actual YouTube page. It just says waiting. I don't know why. Okay, it looks like it's live. I don't know why. Okay, so we've got a couple of guys in. Okay, I can see the private chat.
How do I add to the public chat?
The public chat? I don't know, man.
Oh, okay. Can you type in the live comments or no?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, because I cannot.
Is your phone, like, does it keep vibrating or something?
Yeah, so does your phone.
My phone as well?
Yeah, the beep beep, I hear that on my end from your phone as well.
Walaikum assalam, guys. So we got a few guys. Mr. Brody Thugs 99. Rabbi Dick Kickham? Musab. Guys, I'm just waiting for the viewers to go up. I guess we got 19 now, which is a good number. Let me just share the link on Twitter, inshallah, and then we'll get started. So yeah, first time trying this StreamYard. It's been a while since we've streamed, obviously. YouTube got rid of the Hangout thing. Don't know why. Alhamdulillah, good. Well, are there live comments showing on the page? Yeah, I guess they are. So what I'll do, Abu Fatima, is this beginning bit, I'll probably just cut it out of the video once it's completely uploaded. There is a strange background noise. I don't know whether that's from me or you. Maybe, are you tapping on your mic or something?
Oh, no, that is Assalamu alaikum, first of all. Assalamu alaikum to our viewers, listeners.
We can do intros after. Don't worry. We're just waiting for the numbers to go up. Save your salams. Okay, let me share this link. Let me show you. Everyone in the chat, if you wouldn't mind sharing the link. Mr. Brody's asking, is this guy Shia? No, he isn't. He's Sunni. Would be interesting to get a Shia on as well, you know, to get their point of view, you know.
Of course, but with a Sunni brother present, you'd be the new Faisal Qasim, Al-Ittijah al-Mu'akis on Al Jazeera, where he brings two people from opposing, like he'd bring a Salafi and a hardcore Shi'i, and they'd go at it, or an Islamist and a liberal, you know, and they'd go at it, and then yes, all he does is he makes commentary remarks. I actually would like. Are we able to flag Mr. Brody Thugs 99?
Yeah, he's annoying. I guess we've got a moderator. Millet Ibrahim, can you hide this guy?
Because all of a sudden he puts Baqiya.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, we've got a bunch of moderators, so I'll deal with it. Just give me a second. I'm just sharing the link around. I'm now live. Live now.
من أين أنت أبو فاطمة؟ أنا من العراق، من مدينة سامراء. No, it's not Samarra'i, it's Samarra, where they say Sirdab المدنس, or But yes, Osama Abdul Samarra is the last time the Mahdi was seen with Quran Fatima, and he doesn't live there.
Okay, let me just pull out all the questions that we planned
We
on.
had, yes. In the
So
meantime, I'll be answering some of the questions on the live chat. Salam, are you in Iraq currently or just from Iraq? No, I actually live in Samarra. So,
okay, let's do proper intros and then we'll get started, inshallah. So, assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome back to another live stream by the Sunni Defense. It's been a long time since our last live stream. It's also our first time trying this stream on StreamYard. So, if there's any technical hiccups, we do apologize. My first time using this. So, we've got a very interesting live show for you today. With me is brother Abu Fatma, who's an Iraqi citizen. I'll let him introduce himself. Go for it, Abu Fatma.
Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man walah. My name is Abu Fatima. Obviously, it is not my full name due to security reasons. But today we are here to just answer some of the misconceptions about what is really happening in Iraq, the position of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in Iraq, and uh, just overall just give a better insight, inshallah ta'ala, onto the situation, the dire situation that is occurring in Iraq. Yes, I do live in Iraq. It is my residence. So just to throw that out there, because many people may ask if are you from Iraq or do you live in Iraq? No, I actually have lived in Iraq. I do live in Iraq, and something I just like to state out there that by no means, yes, we are Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, alhamdulillah, but by no means does us being Sunni mean we have to choose between being with the Shia militias or with Daesh. So it's not either or. You're either
So I
with the
guess we
Crusade.
can get into that, the nuances of the whole situation. Just to give a bit of context to what we're going to be doing today. A couple of weeks ago, I put out a post asking for questions for the brother Abu Fatma. The post just said I'm going to be interviewing someone who is in Iraq, living there and experiencing having ISIS take control of his area, also having the Shia militias taking control of his area. Currently, Shia militias control his area. This is a brother who I've spoken to a little bit recently about what's going on, and I thought it would be fascinating for everyone else to hear about it. So this could also be considered a follow-up to our documentary, Iranian Shi'ism Exposed, where there was a full section on the civil unrest in Iraq, mainly focusing on the Shia militias. So here we have an Iraqi citizen who's experienced everything that's happened in Iraq. So we collected a bunch of questions. Alhamdulillah, people were very interested. We got a lot of questions on both Twitter and on the YouTube community tab post. So with me, obviously, is Bufatma, and I guess we'll go straight into it. For the people who are asking questions in the live chat, maybe we can get to some towards the end, or Bufatma, if you see one in the live chat that you really want to answer, just read it out and answer it, please. But generally, we want to stick to the ones that were pre-sent, because we've picked those specifically as we feel they are the most beneficial ones. So I'll just go down the list. Do you want to say something before we start?
Yes, I do apologize. I cannot give my personal opinions in matters of fiqh. Some questions we have chosen not to answer because I am at the end of the day no one. I don't have actual authority in Islam, and even if I did, my opinions are irrelevant. Also, many of the questions do repeat themselves, so I would like. So many of the questions I currently see are actually going to be answered. So please hold on. Uh, like the question that just came in from Ibrahim A. How do most people in Iraq feel about Iran? I don't know what most Iraqis, but there is a general vibe you get. Uh, and especially those that benefit from Iran would have a different perception of Iran than those that don't like Iran. So, I mean, we'll get into the details of that nuances later on, but just like to say that for now.
Okay.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
all
let's
can hear
get
me.
started. Let's get started. So, Bufatma, I'll start with the questions you sent from the YouTube community tab post, and then towards the end, we'll get to some of the Twitter questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first question from Mizan Ahmed. Are there still Shia death squads operating in Iraq? And what has been their impact on the civilians in Iraq?
So, Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man walah. Yes, death squads still do exist in Iraq. Some areas in Iraq until today are actually bombed, like heavy artillery shells, like they're being shelled, especially in areas of Salah ad-Din and Diyala. Diyala, that's a big one, especially because it is close to the Iranian border. So right now, most of the killing that is done through or to
Hello. I think we've lost him now. Bufatma, you there?
Can
Okay,
you guys
you're
hear me?
back. You're back. Go on.
Yes. Oh, did you not hear what I said?
The last 20 seconds, no.
Khair, inshallah. So to answer the question,
The last thing you
yes.
said was Diyala on the border
Ah,
of Iran.
so yes, so Diyala. So in areas like Diyala, the war still continues against the Sunni civilians, which is unfortunate. But this is somehow to force the Sunnis out of their homes, and then they return to find an occupation of Iranis and Shias living in the Sunni areas. This occurs. Majority of the killing that takes place, it's not like they're not, they are no longer actually death squads. They're actually private armies associated with every political party. For instance, the you have the Sarai Salam, which was known as Jaish al-Mahdi. Uh, these are just some of the many militias that make up the Hashid, and these are some of the militias that are actually have influence or are powerful.
Well,
You have
is there as much chaos as we had when the Shia death squads were rampant? You know, stopping people at checkpoints and killing them merely for holding Sunni names. Is that still going on?
it goes on in some areas, but it is not as rampant as before. Uh, Mind you, also there Iraq likes to give off the illusion that there is this national treaty or national peace talks with all its citizens. What they call, al-Musalaha al-Wataniya, which is a load of rubbish at the end of the day. It it does not really represent uh, the Sunni population because basic things, basic. Iraq is not a very safe place, generally speaking. This is compared to the West, compared to Saudi, to Bahrain, to Kuwait. It is not peaceful. Uh, so guns are a part of life there. They are part of civilization there to defend yourself. Sunnis are not allowed to own guns like without a license. You need to apply for licensing. You need to go through the proper procedures. Whereas if you are a Shia and you state that you are part of the al-Hashd, Hashd al-Sha'bi, you can own pretty much. It is unrestricted the amount of firearms and weapons you can. Obviously, it differs because especially your power comes and it is out of, I should say, it is not based in the law because the Hashid reports directly to the Prime Minister and of Iraq. So, whereas the army and the police, they have a chain of command that they have to go through, which generally it for the most part blocks corruption and it is less corrupt. But have been cases in where the Hashid pretty much go into towns and pillage and kill and rape, and this does occur. It is not a rare instance, or it's not once in a blue moon.
So before we speak about the power shift in terms of, Sunnis having control in many areas, and now it's run by Shia militias. Before we get there, let's go back a little and speak about ISIS. So, what happened specifically to where you're living? What was the ISIS experience like? What happened? What was day-to-day life like?
Okay,
and then how did things change?
Fair question.
So, sorry, and also before ISIS. So before ISIS and then after ISIS.
So before ISIS, life, I mean, generally speaking, life was stable. Yes, you had anti-Nur al-Maliki sentiment across Iraq. People did not like that man, and still don't. He and the Maliki forces pretty much used to go into towns, do exactly what the Hashid did now. They had their own personal units that pretty much broke the law, killed indiscriminately, used drugs, torture. So, but it was limited because you don't want chaos. You need this to control people. So it was yes, it did occur, but it was very in specific areas. It wasn't throughout the country or throughout the Sunni areas. So this is before ISIS, and we only have a limited time to speak about this. The political situation. I mean, if you give me 6 hours, 6 hours won't be enough to be fair. This interview is probably going to last around 2 hours or so. So just a heads up for our viewers. Since I believe I think it was Dick, he asked about this. Anyway, so this is prior to ISIS. Life, I mean, yes, I mean, there was its ups and downs. Some areas had a bit rougher than Shia areas or in the south, but generally it was livable. The entire Arab Spring happened, and the I'tisamat, the protests of the Arab, then the Sahawat were created or pretty much reorganized, I should say, and they went into Sunni homes of people of Samarra and started to collect their weapons. And eventually, these Sahawat joined al-Maliki. So they pretty much essentially disarmed the Sunni population of Samarra. This is prior to ISIS. Now, we are talking on the outskirts of Samarra, not or Samarra and surrounding areas.
So then, did ISIS actually take control of Samarra?
ISIS took control of between 3 to 6 neighborhoods, and it is the people of Samarra that pretty much allowed them to take this to create what they call a kill box.
What is that?
It's a trap. So they retreated to allow them to move in, and then they closed off the area, and anything that comes in pretty much dies. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an ambush.
So the population of Samarra allowed ISIS to come in mainly to trap them? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean they were coming in, either way. So they just the outskirts of the city are less fortified, they're less defended, and it is pretty much more of urban warfare. It's not as crowded, so they pretty much ask people from the from the uh, أطراف المدينة, the borders of the city, to just pull in a bit because ISIS was coming, and people were expecting them. I mean, this is the people of Samarra. I mean, forget about military, although we strongly believe that the military has colluded with ISIS on numerous occasions. But nonetheless, and I have evidence. There is evidence of this. Uh, that inshallah we will disclose. The people of Samarra kind of left some of their belongings, and they allowed ISIS to take a few neighborhoods, and essentially it caused them, or caused we dealt a great blow to ISIS. They managed to flee, but Samarra, so they did not actually have a foothold in Samarra.
Well, the population of Samarra started fighting ISIS.
Yes, the population of Samarra did fight ISIS, and
Why?
this has been known. And many shuhada, many martyrs,
Okay.
are come from Samarra.
What motivated them to fight ISIS?
Someone's coming into your home,
So ISIS came and took control of the area? Did they start oppressing the population there? What exactly was going on?
No, okay, so Samarra has a history. What had happened was, in see, this is why we have to go back a bit. During the 2005, 6, 7 area timeline, Al Qaeda came into Samarra, and the resistance of Samarra said, "Okay, these guys are coming in. Maybe we can use them." And they started to pretty much assassinate and pick off the resistance fighters. It's like, oh, this guy used to be a police officer, so he's kafir, murtad,
Right.
shot in the head. This guy used to be a Ba'athi.
We're talking about crimes against the Sunni population.
Yes, so
Okay.
they already knew or had an experience from Al Qaeda that, hey, these guys are no, they'd come in and they'd pretty much say we're here to help, and we are only here for لنصرة دين الله, and then at the end of the day they end up causing causing more damage to the Sunni cause and causing Ahl Sunnah to suffer. Unfortunately, this is the case. ISIS doesn't. ISIS, yes, it does assassinate, it does kill, yes, but it doesn't cause the mass destruction it is being accused of. I mean, it doesn't have the capabilities, aside from like suicide bombing, have the capabilities to wipe out entire neighborhoods. Like we have a town in south of Samarra. It is known as Aziz Beled. So this is a very important town, and people can Google this. Which is a Sunni area. It is almost 100% Sunni. The Shia came in, the Hashid, they took this town over, and they decided to loot homes and pretty much destroy houses. They planted explosives in homes, destroying them and calling for air strikes towards certain homes. And as a result, they blamed it. Oh, well, Daesh was here, or it wasn't us, it was Daesh. So everything they blame on Daesh. Daesh is there to control people. The minute they start mass, the minute they start a campaign of mass destruction, the people will turn on ISIS. So they're there to win the love and support of people. Yes, sometimes, in their mentality, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet, and the ends justify the means. But overall, it doesn't actually cause a destruction it is accused of. If you've ever seen Halab or Mosul, it looks like a graveyard. ISIS doesn't have that capability. This is done from the military of Iraq, the U.S., the Khalij, and the Hashid.
Okay. Obviously, we could branch off into so many different areas, and like you said, we could be here all day. I'm going to try and get to the questions. There is one question in the live chat that was asked a lot in the comment section. So I'll read this one out by Mark Twain. He's asking, how was life under ISIS?
So, okay, many of the people of Samarra, actually, including my family, we had fled Samarra. Although we are Sunni Arab, a majority of Samarra, actually, I have to state, majority of Samarra is actually, they're Sada. They come from the progeny of Sayyidina al-Hasan, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, with the exception of a few uh, tribes or a few families, such as mine. We are Husseini. So, and we descend from a man known as Ja'far al-Zaki, Ja'far the Pure. To the Shia, he is known as Ja'far al-Kadhab. But that is a different. So many of, although they're from Ahl al-Bayt, many of these families knew that Samarra might be a battlefield. And you had the Shia coming in and saying, Samarra will be a foothold where we will launch our armies from. Samarra is a stronghold where we will launch attacks into Takfiri organizations and the Wahhabis to pretty much exterminate them from Iraq. And this is truly what happened. So you had a flux of Shia coming into Samarra. Samarra was left undefended. Majority of the Sunnis of Samarra, around estimates that half of the population of Samarra deserted Samarra and went to Kurdistan. They went to the north, just an hour and a half away, hour 45 minutes away, was the border of Kirkuk. And this was actually used by the Kurdish Peshmerga, the Kurdish military, to actually increase its borders. So they actually had a buffer zone close to Salah ad-Din and Kirkuk. So many Sunni families fled to areas like Kirkuk, Arbil, under Kurdish Peshmerga protection. Many of the families that went towards Baghdad, actually, they were robbed, and many of their men were actually imprisoned. It's, hey, you're Samurai, and you must be Daeshi. The leader of Daesh, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, he is originally from Samarra, and his family is a very well-known Samurai family. And unfortunately, one has to say that there are, people from Samarra that have joined ISIS. This isn't I mean, this has occurred. And with that said, I mean, the Shias and security forces mistrust, Samarra, and they see us as occupiers of the city. Although it's, hey, our imams are buried here, and you have taken. We are awla. What is awla? And their mindsets. They are more rightly. They have more right to Samarra than its native Sunni population. So this is life under ISIS is that in itself. That in itself wasn't really good or bad, because I did not experience life under ISIS in Samarra per se, because ISIS was never in Samarra. But then we left, especially my family, we left towards Kurdistan to Arbil, and life there. I mean, coming back and on the way, I mean, even in living temporarily under ISIS control for a few months in itself, I mean, there are pros and there are cons. Obviously, no one. I'm not here to make up stories. Life under the ISIS, for instance, people see ISIS and big and small, men all go to the masjid. When the adhan is called, all the shops are closed off and people go to the masjid. People are growing their beards. People are practicing the sunnah. Yes, this is a very good thing. No one is saying this is not, but they do it out of fear. That hey, if I get caught, it is harsh repercussions, consequences against me.
And we've seen recently the negative impact of that, where places controlled by ISIS now have become extreme liberals.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's.
Can you elaborate
Uh,
on that?
uh, for instance, my city, uh, Samarra, in 2006. Well, I mean, no matter how bad the U.S. invasion was, and yes, it is negative, I have to, at the end of the day, thank Bush and thank him about or for the war, because at the end of the day, the war has that Bush brought to Iraq has brought people closer to Islam. Many Iraqis that I know, many of Samarra's population used to openly disbelieve, openly make kufri statements. So like they'd say, "A'udhu billah, na'al dinak," uh, or like I curse your religion or I curse your God, and these are kufri statements. It doesn't mean the person is a kafir. Big difference between making a kufri statement and being a kafir. So just to point that out. So I mean I this is I mean Bush actually brought us closer to Islam. That when the United States invaded, people just subhanallah all of a sudden they just woke up, and started practicing becoming a Muslim.
You
So
got to
alhamdulillah.
clarify. I don't think people get what you mean by thanking Bush. You're getting bashed in the comment section. They're like, "Is this guy on drugs?"
No, I mean like thank him. I mean that he intended to bring war and destruction, and yes, he has. And the guy is a kafir. I'm not saying otherwise. And عليه من الله ما يستحق. But what I am saying is that because as a reaction of the Bush war, the invasion, many Iraqis started to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is going back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unfortunately, sometimes you need a harsh reality. And Bush, for many Iraqis, was that harsh reality. And even to Shias as well, Sunnis and Shias.
Subhanallah. So disaster woke them up. Okay, so then let's move on to the Shia death squad. So you've spoken a little bit about ISIS and how they were forcing people to pray and go to the mosque. What happened with the Shia death squads and the Shia militias? Sorry, the Shia militias.
So okay, the Shia militias are pretty much right now. The death squads are pretty much militias now. They are literally mafia men. So the Shia control. They bring a substance called crystal meth or methamphetamine. Excuse me. So to clarify something, there is no organization called Al-Hashd al-Shabi. The Hashd is actually made up of multiple militias. The most prominent is Sarai Salam, Asa'ib Ahl al-Haq, Faylaq Badr, currently headed by Abdul Aziz and Ammar al-Hakim. And right now it's by Hadi.
And you've got Qais al-Khazali's group in Samarra right now.
Yes, the currently the ones in Samarra are Asa'ib Ahl al-Haq, which is part of the Hashd. Sarai Salam, that's the major one. And then you also have Badr in Samarra, and they are the ones that pretty much control Samarra. They control who gets in and who comes out. Although I am Samarra'i, sometimes if I do not have my what they call bitaqat second, pretty much my residency card of Samarra. They don't let me in, although my last name is Samarra'i on my ID.
So obviously they're controlling now. How's life changed for the Sunni population?
Well,
since
okay,
it's been controlled by the Shia militias?
Kidnappings, rapes, killings, thefts all occur in Samarra now. I mean, I can literally disappear like this, and no one knows who took me, who interrogated me, where I am. They have literally pretty much these underground prisons that no one knows. I mean, where you are. Many times they even fool the family. It's you pay $200,000, $100,000. I'm talking about U.S. dollars, 40,000, 30,000, and then you get released. Many times they just release a corpse. I mean, pretty much on top of that, they deal in Samarra. They are dealing drugs. So you have crystal meth, which is brought from Iran. You have antidepressants, which are majority of young people are actually hooked to antidepressants. Marijuana, marijuana is big right now in Iraq. Gambling, in some parts of Baghdad, gambling debts, gambling dens in Baghdad. That every single day, $2 to $3 million is what they profit out of, and all under the protection of the so-called Shia militias that are there to support Ahlul Bayt and support the Shia cause. So I mean, when we say they're mafias, I mean, don't take my word for it. I mean, some Shia members of parliament have been threatened with by these militias. What's his name? Fa'iq al-Sheikh. Fa'iq Ali Sheikh. You can look him up. He's a Shia man that lives in Najaf, but every time he brings up these charges of corruptions and he is silenced, or they attempt to, he gets a death threat and he has to go into hiding, or I mean, he beefs up his security. Iraq is pretty much, if you don't have a militia to back you up, you're going to be easy prey. So, and in Samarra, you have prostitutes right now that come from the south, and they're all run by the Shia militias. Killings. I mean, a portion of my life, I grew up in the West, and then I returned to Samarra. So, I mean, myself, I mean, some people even like are afraid from like family members. It's like, you can't be going out, or don't go out past a certain time. Why not? Because from Samarra, the people, they collaborate with the Shia. They collaborate, and they tip them off that so and so was fighting the Americans, or so and so was part of the Ba'ath regime, or so and so his father has money, and then they rely upon this information, upon this intelligence to act. I mean, people don't go missing randomly. It is obviously because of a cause. So they know your family has money. You're going to pretty much get kidnapped, and a letter of demand is sent. And the police they operate freely. The police have no control over them. I mean, this had occurred, and where a police officer attempted to stop a militiaman. Uh, so the militiaman killed the police officer and 9 others.
Subhanallah, this is very, very upsetting, and you can see in the comment section, people are sad, man. It's such a mess. So I just want to link what we're saying to our documentary. So in the documentary, we had a section on Qais al-Khaz'ali. So he's the leader of Asa'ib Ahl al-Haq. And he said things such as, we're going to take revenge for what happened to Hussein. These are the descendants of the killers of Hussein, and arousing the militias with this language. Now, have you seen a direct reaction from the Shia militias? Obviously, Asa'ib Ahl al-Haq is in control of the area that you live. Have these words roused them to commit these crimes? Do you think they've had a strong influence on the militias? Do you feel, as a Sunni, do you feel you're seen as a killer of Hussein?
Okay, so to answer your question, I was traveling from I was in Iraq. I mean, this is, I was traveling and I had my beard a bit grown. I'm a Sunni Arab man in my late 20s. So me generally speaking, I especially in the West. I mean, when I was in Europe and Western countries, and even in the East, I grow out my beard, and my thawb is very short. So Sunnah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I can't do that in Iraq. I cannot do that in Samarra. And when I was in Arbil, I went to Kirkuk, stayed there for a few days, and then I decided to head back to Samarra. I forgot to shave, so I had a beard, and it wasn't an ISIS beard. I mean, it was maybe 1 inch off my 1 inch off my chin, off my face, at most. This is. Anyway, so I get pulled over by the what they call the Shurta al-Ittihadiyya, the Federal Police Service of Iraq, and on the charge of dealing drugs. I asked them, dealing drugs? They said, yes, you have certain. I had some capsules with that contained codeine. It was a painkiller. They said, no, this was illegal. So, anyways, they took me and I had around had a few $100s on me. Anyways, I ended up in jail. I was beat. I was in their jail. I was beat, and then I was eventually released with no charges after I was beat. But I had to buy my way out. So I paid $650 cash, as well as 2 watches, and every watch ranges from $700 to $800 US. Essentially, this is what had occurred, and the guy looks at me, and this is a personal experience. After he hits me, I have to stand there and take it. He says that, all of you are the same, referring to Sunnis and the people of Samarra. He says, all of you, you are from the same, pretty much made from the same clay, And then he says it afterwards, nafs al khara, the same shit, So, and I still have to take this from a soldier, from a police officer, and then I have to thank him and agree with him, or else, I mean, it goes, it only goes downhill from there. And I am in the province of Kirkuk. I am in a Sunni province with the majority of people are still Sunnah. So I mean, yes, this right on the outskirts of Samarra, you see a big banner and a graffiti as well that says "Ya li Tharat al-Hussein."
Yes.
As a Sunni,
Sorry,
a Sunni,
you got cut
yes,
for a couple of seconds. Sorry, go on.
yes, okay. As a Sunni man in Iraq, I feel like I fear for my life. I can't practice Islam. Uh, if this, I have to either choose a madhab of either Hanafi or Shafi'i. No Maliki and no Hanabila to them. and if you're you can't even have certain books in Iraq anymore in Sunni areas. Like by default, any book written by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayh is out of the question. It is illegal to own and might possibly be a death sentence for being you're a takfiri, you're a Wahhabi. Kitab al-Tawheed by Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. Although the book has nothing in terms of aqidah in there, you cannot have it. It's considered a takfiri propaganda. Although the book is essentially Quran and Sunnah, to the extent that even at times, Sahih Muslim and Bukhari, it's why do you have this? You get questioned on why you have those books. Ibn Qayyim, some books of Ibn Hazm, you're not allowed. You cannot own it. This is in Sunni areas. You cannot go to the masjid. You go to the masjid and you have to pray a certain prayer. Your thawb cannot be past a certain length.
What
Your
do you mean
beard
you have to pray a certain prayer?
Okay, so the qabd, the grasping of the hands is generally, if you pray like this, it's okay. If we are being blunt, and I'm just going to go and say it. If you follow the manhaj of the Salaf, if you are Ahlul Hadith, Salafi, that is pretty much, or Hanbali, that is pretty much a death sentence for you. You cannot believe in that at all. So when you pray, your hands need to go down to your belly button. Similar, even despite if you're Hanafi or not. So you have to pray like the Ahnaf. You cannot you cannot put your foot or heel on the line and stick your foot to the next guy. Leave a gap in between. To the extent that your thawb, they call it dishjasha for Iraq. It cannot be past a certain length. Can't be too short. Has to be long. And if it drags to the ground, even better. You cannot trim your mustache. And you cannot grow your beard.
Allah help you, man.
So I
Extreme
mean,
upsetting hearing all of this, man.
This is as a reaction to ISIS, because people saw ISIS doing this, so this must be Daeshi thinking. The names, certain names, you should not call out in public. Like Omar becomes Ammar. Umar is a very common Sunni name, and it has to be Ammar now. Especially in sometimes this is in Sunni areas. I know when I was in Baghdad, in the district of A'lamiyah, which is a Sunni district, my friend had to go by the name of Ammar because he was afraid, of the name Umar and of the complications it might have.
Now, you're talking about people changing their names, and I remember a conversation we had last week, and I said we'll save it for the live stream. You were speaking about the youth, being heavily influenced by Tashayyu.
Oh, yes. I mean, in Samarra, I'm driving down. Well, actually, no. No, I had parked and I got out, and then I was walking down, and then I saw a young man blasting his he has speakers on his motorcycle, and he's blasting Latmiyat, Basim al-Karbala'i. And this guy was Sunni. I
Wow.
mean, and this isn't a rare occurrence. You have many Sunni youth right now that
For our viewers who
all
don't know who Basim Kabbalai is, why don't you?
he's a
The
famous
probably the most famous eulogist.
he is the most famous Rudud guy that known in the Shi'i world now. The man in his Husayniyah makes every time he performs, he he is at $10,000 to $15,000 US per hour.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and I mean it is, yeah. So I mean, yeah, subhanallah. I mean, the situation is bad. I mean, something to state as well. Even after they destroyed Sunni towns, the government is saying that they will be rebuilding Sunni towns. But so far, uh, wallahi, actually, Ali Denaz, living under Israelis would be better than living under the Rawafid. I say this.
Talking about living under, I guess when you were younger, you lived under the rule of Saddam. Someone's asking. Let me just pull it out. I want to mention the guy's name. It's good to always let people know that we are reading their questions. Okay, so Zaka7 asked, what was the best era to live in? Saddam
Mhm.
Hussein, ISIS, or Shia militia?
Well, okay. Let me state this. My family has never been a part of Hizb al-Ba'ath, nor has we joke actually. To the Arabic speakers, we actually call it Hizb al-Ba'ath. But you know, if you know what it means, you know. I won't translate it. But Subhanallah. Saddam, yes, he was a tyrant. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive his sins. The man at the end of the day said the Shahada before he passed away.
I mean,
Uh, but Saddam was a tyrant. He attacking Kuwait, killing Muslims, the killing Kurds, the our Kurdish brothers. Yes, this is. But at the end of the day, Saddam actually did have an operating country. There was safety and security. He did do good for Iraq. One has to say it. But and he, right now, looking back in retrospect, Sunnis and Shia right now, they want Saddam. They go through.
I can testify
Sorry,
to that. I know Shia Iraqis who miss Saddam.
I I I personally, I mean, like, I know many Shias right now. They say, it's when they find out, like many cab drivers, uh, older cab drivers. It's like, oh, you're, especially when they pick you up from like places like Al-Lamia or Al Mansour. Generally, these are Sunni areas, so it's like, okay, you're a Sunni. Well, Allah yarham Saddam. They don't say this in front of the Shia because it's like, oh, how dare you? Sunnis generally, for the most part, agree with this, that Saddam's days are better. And some people obviously would love to go back to Saddam just because their families benefited from Hezb al-Ba'ath. Uh, my family was never part of Hezb al-Ba'ath, nor did they ever join. And in fact, we had problems. My father was jailed. My grandfather and my uncles were all jailed, and they were tortured. But generally speaking, Saddam and the Ba'ath were a blessing now in retrospect compared to the chaos and destruction that's happening now.
Subhanallah.
So I mean, yeah, this is generally speaking. So ISIS is bad. You know, it's not as bad as what the media makes it out to be. Yes, they are horrific. You know, these Khawarij, but at the end of the day, you know, there for every action there's a opposite and equal reaction. ISIS only came as a reaction to the Shia transgressions, to the Shi'i oppression of the Sunnis. So you have the two horns of Shaitan. You know, I mean, some scholars state it is the Khawarij and the Rawafid, and history, attests to that. You never see the Rawafid gaining height or gaining power, by themselves. They are always followed by the Khawarij, or the Khawarij and then the Rawafid. They are the same side or different side of the same coin.
So, I guess out of the three, we'll go with Saddam as an answer to that question. I mean,
Because
subhanAllah, even though you were saying,
at the end of the day, the Hashid and the ISIS, they're the same. But as a Sunni, like as a Sunni, I'm safer with ISIS. But also as Shia, they are safer with the militias, because at the end of the day, they are Shia.
all right,
So yeah,
all right.
uh,
It
yeah.
would,
So
would have been good to have a
yeah,
Shi'i on as well today, just to get their side
some,
of things, you know. Because at
something I
the end
should.
of the day, you've got, militias fighting each other, and you just have population just trying to get on with their lives, go to work.
Oh
Speaking
yes,
about that,
I mean,
how this was another question that came up a few times. How has the war affected the relationships between Sunnis and Shias?
okay.
In
So
Bahrain, I can give you some information about Bahrain. So in Bahrain, they were marrying each other. They were friends. Um, you have instances of Sunnis taking part in their innovated rituals, cooking for them even. Relationships were quite close. And then the fake revolution in Bahrain changed things, and there's been a
yeah,
complete divide. People cut ties. There were instances of divorce. But alhamdulillah, through the tragedy of this revolution, some good came out of it, just like you were saying, some good in Iraq. The Sunnis realized more about Tashayyu. They realized what these people believe. So, in terms of religiously, they disassociated from them. However, Bahrainis are friendly. They learn to get on anyways. But there's less marrying. Um, but yeah, to tell us about Iraq.
so in Iraq, yes, I mean, for those, I was not alive in the 70s, but for those that are, and you can attest to this. I mean, if you'd like, can I upload pictures here? No, I can't, but I can show you actually pictures of Baghdad in the 70s that I found in an old archive in the library. Um, I mean, and then I also asked my father pictures. You had like ladies in miniskirts in Baghdad. So I mean, right now it's yes, almost hard to see it, but Baghdad like was this open Western. It was like Paris. You had you had uh, ladies in mini skirts and people dating and Sunni Shia. It's like Sunni Shia. It's almost like I don't know. Me asking you, do you prefer coffee or tea? It did not didn't really affect didn't have an effect that much. But after the 2003 war, especially after the bombings of Samarra, which were which were actually the people of Samarra, I believe it was Iran that bombed it. But nonetheless, it's not what it's what you can prove, and the government always states uh, that it was subhanallah that the government states it was the Sunnis of Samarra, and in collaboration with Al Qaeda, but this is just not true. I mean, so nonetheless, I mean, tensions between Sunni and Shia pretty much increased, and then sectarian war followed. Within a week after that incident in 2005. So I was in Iraq in that period between 2005 and 2007, where bloodshed was very, very high. And the way, like, between Baghdad and Samarra is 125 kilometers. It's an hour drive. It would take us 4 hours, and it was very dangerous. I mean, going to Baghdad almost meant, we it might be the last time we were ever going to see our families. So, but generally speaking, the we're going back to the question, Samar. Going back to the question, Sunnah and Shia used to intermarry with each other. You know, it was almost as if I ask you, "Oh, you like coffee? I like tea." It didn't have the the factor right now in society. Oh, you're Sunni. Oh, you're Shia. Astaghfirullah. So it was very, and then topping that off with aggression. Iraqis are just aggressive in nature. On top of that, everyone had to enter the military up until 2003. Everyone had to enter the military, mandatory military service for 3 years for males. And so generally speaking, how you have a powder keg. You have Saddam's government has fallen. You have a lot of weapons uh, on the streets. On I can right now go and buy an AK-47 for $200. Brand new. There are corrupt military officials that will sell you that and pocket the money, and there is no consequence. And I know of this. I mean, I was offered, hey, if you need a weapon, this will cost you $500 for a handgun, $200 for an AK. So I mean, and essentially corruption runs in the military. They're underpaid. So, hey, I'd rather sell this and make a profit than have it staying in inventory in my storage in my armory. So I mean, that's sorry, side point, but I mean yeah, subhanallah. I mean, life here is not what it was, and Sunni Shia relations have actually uh, going back, like weapons, aggression, people that know how to use weapons. You know,
Where do you
pretty much.
feel it's going? Do you feel it's going to keep getting worse? Is it a never-ending cycle of violence, or is there signs of improvement?
Okay, so Baghdad, there is a big difference between being peaceful and being like peaceful and politically stable and being quiet. So العربي يعني يوجد فرق يعني بين الأمان والهدوء. الآن يعني بغداد هادئة. Baghdad right now is quiet, because there is some sort of government that attempts to state or to display that there is some sort of to state that there is some sort of government. But I've seen this in Baghdad that a police officer was directing traffic, and then some guy decides to go the opposite end, and the police officer stops him, and he gets out of his car, and then the man was armed, and he tells him, I said go there, and and the man states, I am with the Muntasib, وهي العصائب. I'm pretty much enrolled or enlisted with the عصائب, as in the militia, عصائب أهل الحق, by the Khazali guy. So it's like, like the guy was shocked. Now it's like, now you either let me, through, or pretty much I'm going to, you'll see what happens. So the police officer steps back, and all I see is Tfadal Sayyidi. All it's like welcome, please go. Like sir. It's like ta'mur, you command. قنdarتك على راسي. Your boot is upon my head. Literally means to show you the fear. So and this is a police officer. This is supposedly he has the law on his side. So this is seeing this. The reality is there is no rule of law. There is no security. It is Baghdad, Iraq, generally speaking, is a powder keg. And the minute they finish off with the Sunnis, the minute the Sunnis are no longer a threat to them, the minute the Sunnis are pretty much quashed, and we are a minority. Because as of now, this is a lie that the Sunnis are, a minority. We only constitute 10 or 15 to 20% of the population. This has been severely exaggerated and is a straight out lie. Yes, Sunni Arabs aren't as much as they used to, partially due to Iran. They used to pretty much kill off Sunni Arabs and in prison and pretty much exile many Sunni Arabs. You have 7 million Iraqis outside of Iraq. You have a further 4 million that are displaced in Iraq. Majority of the displaced are Sunni. The vast majority are Sunni. From Anbar, Kirkuk, Salah ad-Din, Diyala, and Nainawa.
Since you've mentioned Iran, the Khomeinist propaganda channel Islamic Pulse and their presenter Muzaffar Haider, he speaks very highly of these Shia militias, especially the militias who, the foreign militias who've come from other areas. He claims they're coming to Iraq to help the population, to fight the tyrants, to bring peace. So we do have a question here from, hold on. Okay, Mash Official. He's asking, what evidence have you seen of foreign influence in the Shia militia groups? So that's two questions. What do you feel about the point of view that Muzaffar Haider is trying to give, and what's the reality? And also, what have you experienced in terms of foreign influence and foreign militias?
Okay. Can we? There is just something I'd like to state. These militias, excuse me. First and foremost, this is. Oh wait. Can you still with me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is weird.
We can hear you, but can you hear us?
Ali?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, salam alaikum. Lost you for a sec.
Yeah, go for it.
Yes.
So foreign invaders.
Yes. So the foreign militias. Who is? Someone has to just look at the propaganda, of this channel, Islamic Pulse, and I've reviewed some of his content, not everything. Especially, he seems to be very anti. What's his name? Sadiq al-Shirazi.
Yeah, so he's a typical Khomeinist. He repeats the whole unity rhetoric, but he literally praises every single Shia militia in Iraq and Syria. And he literally calls every Sunni militia terrorist. So, yeah.
So, okay. What ISIS has done to the Shias and to the Sunnis, it has been done to the Sunnis by the Hashid and these militias, tenfolds, without any exaggeration, tenfolds. The Sunnis are the real oppressed, majority population of Iraq. Until right, maybe look at who. First of all, the fact that he is propagating this on his channel, is evidence that these militias, who are they funded by? They are all funded. If you go back, they would most likely. Maybe not every single one, but the vast majority of these militias are actually funded and trained by Iran.
Well, this is open. This is known. This is not hidden.
No, of course. The Iran attempts to. This is why I respect the Shirazis more. In that sense, they're the same. They don't practice this taqiyya.
Well, they do practice taqiyya, but not to the level of the Khomeini.
Oh yeah, excuse me. The Shirazis. From I should say the Shirazis.
Their argument that
Yeah.
there is truth to their argument where they basically argue that the taqiyya of the Khomeinis and their likes has gone on for too long, and it's gone into areas where now tashayyu has become
watered down
and unrecognizable, where where the masses of Shias are confused. And that's what you see all the time. Anyone who has any contact with Shias, they always say, no, we don't hate the Sahaba, we don't curse the Sahaba. But then they catch them cursing the Sahaba. Or some Shias believe you shouldn't curse at all, where this is completely new. This is something that popped up in the last, 20, 30 years, post Khomeini, post Fadlallah. Other than that, nothing. They've got a history of cursing.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes, you can understand the Shirazis. Yeah, Shiism is different now. They definitely have.
Yeah. So back to what Mudaffar said. This is clearly not true. Many of these militias actually, they rape, they kill, they pillage. In Samarra, many of these. SubhanAllah, I have to state this, that many of the fighters, the foreign fighters that came to Iraq to say we're here to protect Sunnis against the militias and whatnot, when this happened, actually it has been revealed that they were not even circumcised. Many of them did not, many of the Sunni girls didn't know what the male organs, reproductive organs looked like. Later on, they found out that many of these weren't even Muslim men that they had married, and some were even pregnant with. And then, as a result to that, many of the Shia militias took advantage. It's like, okay, so she married a non-Muslim. So, and you have cases of rapes by these militias, cases of killings and stealing. The fact that Mudaffar is here to justify that, every single militia is there.
Listening. I hope Muzaffar's listening to this, and his followers too, his fanboys.
It's a straight load of horse shit, if I'm being very, very blunt. The militias there have a purpose. Their purpose, look at Mosul, for instance. Their purpose is to carry out a political agenda. The political agenda of actually kicking or pretty much expelling Sunni residents of historically Sunni areas and repopulating them with Shias. Right now, like in Samarra, I met thousands of Iranis, and this is a point I'd like to make, that in areas that are in demand to the Shias, or that want like areas like in Baghdad, A'damiya, uh, Kalmiya is too expensive for them, so they can't. So, but historically, Sunni areas of A'damiya, Samarra, Al Yarmouk, Al Mansour, in Samarra. Uh, my grandfather is his house, and my father is his house, and uncles. They had their homes in what we call the old Samarra, Samarra Al Qadima. Pretty much, this is 50, anywhere between 50 to 100 meters away from the shrine of uh, Al Askari and Ali Al Hadi and Hassan Al Askari, and this is right next to As-Sirdab, As-Sirdab Al Mukaddas, the holy cellar. They actually do call it that right now. They call it As-Sirdab Al Muqaddas, where apparently the Mahdi was last seen. So, nonetheless, homes there went up. They were paying something like for homes. They were paying like $500,000 for like these small homes for real estate in Samarra, in old Samarra, and many people bought or sold their properties out of desperation. Why? Because their shops have been closed. Their shops in Samarra have been closed for many years now. For the last what 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. For the last 7, 8 years, many of their properties have been seized and closed. So it's yeah, sure, you own it on paper, but you're not allowed as a Sunni, as a resident of Samarra, you cannot go to your house, which is in the old district. Why? Because we don't know who you are. Uh, and many of the homes, people come back or people find that their homes are actually have been taken over by these militias, Saraya Salam and Hazaib Ahl al Haq and Baylaq Badr and uh, what was it, Kataib al Imam Ali, and uh, many of these many of these uh, militias have actually taken Muslim property, and they live there and they have kids there, and uh, they carry on day to day life. They are pretty
So,
much
so
essentially.
you'd agree with the fact that they're changing the demographic, and
Oh, of
their
course,
use is ISIS.
of course. I mean, this is the biggest. This is the biggest lie that Sunnis are a minority. If we are a minority, yes, in military power, we are a minority. Like Sheikh Harith, rahmatullahi alayh. I'm talking about Sheikh Harith al-Dari, who was one of the ulama of Iraq. He passed away in 2015. He actually stated that he boycotted and did not. He saw that it was not befitting of the Sunnis to join the military and the police. So, I mean, this unfortunately caused a setback. Looking back in time, looking back in retrospect, that was a mistake of his, and we accept. I mean, the man is not ma'soom, but he saw that we should boycott elections and that we should not join the military and police up until our rights have been guaranteed in the Constitution, up until our needs are met, and there are guarantees for the Sunnis to carry on life. But essentially, military power or military is the real power, because if majority of the military was Sunni, we would not be in a position the position we are now. But unfortunately for us, many of the military are Shias from the south, and it is not like the Shia, like close to my town, close to Samarra, there is a area called Ad-Dajail, and this area was actually Saddam Hussein was they attempted to assassinate him there. These are historically Arab and ethnically Arab, but they are Shia, and they come from very prominent Shia Arabi or Arabi tribes, I should state. Their influence or pretty much they oppose Iran. They're still Shi'i, but they oppose this personalization of Iraq, and they see them as pretty much an occupational force. They see that the Shia are being swayed by Iran uh, in their calls for unity and their calls for that, hey, we are going to in the sense that,
if you wouldn't mind, I'll just pause you there for a second. I do feel like we've gotten through a lot of the questions, even though I haven't explicitly read them out. Obviously, these were sent beforehand, but I feel like we will have time for some of the live questions. So people in the live chat, if you do want to ask Brother
I
Abu
actually can't see the live chat. I only see private chat.
What's that?
I can only see the private chat. I cannot see the live chat.
You can't see the live chat. If there should be a little tab that says comments, and you can click on that. But don't worry, I'll read them out.
Okay.
So yeah, guys in the live chat, please do send any questions you have. Sorry, Abu Fatima, please continue.
Yeah.
Oh, he's gone. Okay, guys, we'll give him a minute and we'll try and get him back on. Who have we got? So we got Mark, Ali Dennis, Ibrahim, Yazid, HTS. Oh, he's back. He's back. Abu Fatima, you might want to turn off your camera. Okay, I'm going to add him now.
It's off.
Yep, you're in.
Assalamu alaikum.
Allah, welcome back.
My apologies. Can you all hear me?
Yeah. So Brother Mark Twain's got a question.
Yes.
Do Ahl Sunnah have any power militarily?
In the north, the Kurdish, yes, they do. But the Arabs, no. Many of our weapons have been seized or taken over either by ISIS or the government or the militias. So no, their Ahl Sunnah do not have military, do not have power in a military sense. Yeah.
All right. Ali Dennis is asking, what's the percentage of Sunnis in Iraq? Guys, we'll do fire questions, so send them in.
Yeah. So let's do this very fast without details. So the percentage of Sunnis right now, I would say that the Shia with the Iranian influx right now would be at, if we were to include Sunnis of all walks, which are predominantly the Kurdish, which something like 95% of Kurds, if not more, are Sunni Shafi'i. Turkmen are Sunni, majority of them, at least 70 to 80%. Sunni Arabs alone are like, in 40 something. So I'd say the Shias only make around 30 to 40%. But that's also a higher number than, it's, yeah.
You're being generous with the number. Okay, Discord is asking if you know anything about the Free Iraqi Army. I read that it was an Islamic Sunni group which was supportive of Jaish al-Hur in Syria.
No, if I'm thinking about the same Free Iraqi Army, they were pretty much former Ba'ath loyalists, run by a man named Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri.
Okay. What do you believe is the average Sunni Iraqi view of the GCC governments in regards to their relationship with the Iraqi government? Interesting.
Well, Allahu A'lam what their views are. My view is that, and based from historical evidence, that it was the GCC. Sorry, I don't mean to call out any Khalijis. army from Saudi, the KSA from Saudi Arabia, from Kuwait. Missiles were launched from Qatar, striking Iraq, and provided logistical support all to the United States. So, I mean, generally speaking, the Sunnis, that I have spoken with and I associate myself with, and the Sunnis view the GCC as a bunch of traitors, as khawana. They're governments, not the people. So this is, yes. Sorry, you guys are not liked. Yeah.
Guys, I just got to make it clear. Obviously, I'm just interviewing Abu Fatma. His views are his own. That's like the Sunni defense.
My views are no. I do not. Okay. To clarify, I don't actually believe this, that the GCC are a bunch of.
So you don't believe it. You're just saying what you feel like the average Iraqi believes.
The average Sunni, at least in my area, it's like you'd speak about Saudi. It's like, oh, but Saudi did this, and the average response to that is, Wallah al-an, yani, with the exception of Mecca and Medina and the Holy Lands, they curse, Abu Saudiya, and the king, and the Khalij, the treacherous, oppressive rulers of Khalij. So I mean, it is not. This is, and then you go back and forth. It's but they also help us out and this and that, and then it's like, and then they kind of take a step back. But now, whereas you go to, and I've spoken to many Shias, they actually absolutely, it's like, to them Khalij is pretty much it preaches Wahhabism and takfir, and there are a bunch of murtaddin, kafara, a bunch of mujassima kafara. What's tajsim in English? Ali, can you hear me? Ali, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry. I was just on the phone. Sorry. What's up? You had a question? You were asking something?
Yes, tajsim.
Anthropomorphism.
Yes, yes. Pretty much, the Shia pretty much accuse pretty much the Sunnis of the Khalij, of tajsim and being pretty much kafara, and but it's funny because Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, he actually studied in Iraq. He was a student of knowledge in Basra, in Zubayr, and his teachers were from Baghdad. Historically, yes, but nonetheless, it's funny because this ideology was actually found in Iraq before it ever was in Al-Khalij, because during the time of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, the majority of the kingdom of Saudi was hardcore Quburi.
Interesting. Let's move on, as we've got more questions. Najib is asking, do Shia really do mut'ah?
I know it is in their beliefs, yes, but I don't watch people having sex. Or it's like, oh, mashallah, Shia, but I mean, I have.
Okay, let's reword that.
Yes.
Are you aware of it being part of Shi'i culture in Iraq?
Yes, I am aware, and I am aware of this in Al-Kadhimiyya, and I do have pictures of fanadiq siyahiyya, of like tourist hotels, and the man asked me if I wanted to have mut'ah.
Wow.
And he can get me a girl, he thought I was Irani, by the way, so.
He thought you were Irani.
Yes, صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لماذا تزهق علي?
Yeah, I was speaking to a Bahraini Shi'i once, and he was explaining to me how he was offered. He's basically talking about how tourists are offered, prostitutes there, and of course it's mut'ah. Moving on.
Yes.
Another question. Do the Shias make the Sunnis bow down to pictures of Bashar? And this is Livers BBK.
I know the Shia have done so in Iraq. In Syria. In Iraq, it's different. It's not Bashar. We've heard some stories in jails and interrogation cells that they make you kiss and bow down to, like, who was it? To Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib. Like the Majusi demigods. Pictures of them, and
Right.
you're forced to kiss the picture of Muqtada al-Qadr, Muqtada, the Qadr, the filthy, and his father. Although it's yes, but yeah, I mean, if they're asking me personally, no, I have not bowed down to those individual to those pictures, or
Okay.
this has never been done upon me.
What Kanib is asking, how unified is the Sunni population? Are there any efforts to regain Sunni rights?
No, they are not unified. First and foremost, the minister of the Sunni, the president of the Sunni Diwan of Al-Waqf Sunni, his name is he's a traitor to the Sunnis and the Sunni cause. First and foremost, the Sunnis, unfortunately, still, yes, there are efforts to solidify or to pretty much voice one opinion, but at the end of the day, the Sunnis pretty much they don't like the militias and whatnot, but they also have tribal. It's a tribal. Shammar would has a problem with Banu Tamim. So I mean, it's sometimes that also results in division, and it's like, oh, that side chose, or that Qabila chose, that Ashira went this way, we're going to oppose them, because just because, So, yes, the Sunnis are divided, unfortunately,
Okay.
from that sense. What else? Also, on a not a large, but also on a theological level, there is some sort of tensions between Ahl al-Hadith and the Asha'ira in
Okay. Moving on. Jeremy Steiner is asking, Kurds are under communist influence. How true is this?
Previously, yes, there was some Soviet influence throughout all of Iraq, but as of now, I'm not sure. No, they seem like very much capitalists to me. A 10-minute cab ride in Arbil costed me $45 US. So no, they seem very capitalist. My wallet can attest to that.
Okay. The next one, I guess, is a question for me. Hassan is asking, why are you guys hardly ever active with live streams or even posts? Well, we all do this voluntarily. We all have full-time jobs or full-time studies. It's not easy. And we also, with regards to the live stream, it's the most challenging thing to do with the rest of the team, because we're all from different parts of the world. The time zones make doing these streams difficult. So we're doing live streams less, and we feel like we've answered everything. I mean, the last few live streams, it's the same questions over and over again.
So wait.
So people can use site. People can use can refer to our videos. Sorry, Abu Fatma, did you want to say something?
Yeah, what do you mean we all have full-time jobs? We don't get paid some of the Saudi petrodollars?
fund it? We're not what?
Yeah. So, contrary to popular belief,
I know many Shias
Sunni
may
defense
accuse
is
us.
not funded by Saudi Arabia or the Zionists or anyone else. Alhamdulillah, we're self-funded. We've had generous people offer us money, and we've always rejected it. We haven't collected even a penny from others. We try to keep it clean. So yeah, we're constantly working on videos. I've got a video coming out that you're going to enjoy. If you enjoyed my response to Muzaffar Haider, and I know most people did, you're going to enjoy this one. It's not to Muzaffar, it's to someone else. But inshallah, within a week, if I have time to finish it, we're going to be releasing some more translated videos. So some Rami Isa stuff. I know we've got a couple of clips of that. People have enjoyed those. Maybe some of his infamous phone calls to Shia scholars. They're pretty funny. And yeah, so if there's anything else you guys want us to do, if there's certain topics that you'd like videos on, we feel like the main shubahats have been answered.
Wait. Sorry. Something I wanted. Sorry. I'm just going back, reading some of the questions. Jeremy Steiner's question is: he states Kurdish groups are led by leftist communists. They have nothing to do with Sunnah. That's actually not true, because some groups are leaning more towards communism. Some political parties, some are very capitalist. Currently, it is very capitalistic in Kurdistan, and you actually have a few that are actually Islamists. But yes, every time an Islamist party is created in Kurdistan, it suffers obstacles or troubles, or sometimes their founding members are just jailed or killed. So I have to state that. But no, I mean, the sentiment in Kurdistan that, subhanAllah, I realize many Kurds actually practice Islam even better than the Arabs in many aspects, not all aspects, but in many aspects they are better than the Arabs in that sense. So it wasn't fair of me to, I didn't read the question, and hopefully that clarifies this. But sorry, Ali, to cut you off.
It's fine. Yes, so sorry, just to go back to what I was saying. Yeah, if there's anything specific that you feel needs addressing that we haven't addressed, do let us know. But I feel like we've addressed everything in terms of the major shubahat. What I'm currently doing, if you look at my video, Ali, the first caliph, so we're just summarizing the arguments. This is not really for the typical Sunni defense audience, though. I'm just trying to dumb things down, make it a bit more shareable. Okay, we got a question from Nadeem. Are there any Shia militias from subcontinent and Iraq? Yeah, so you got the Zainabiyun from Pakistan.
And some Hazara, you have a Hazara, the Hazara tribes of Afghanistan. Some of them have actually formed militias in Iraq as well.
Yeah.
The Hazara, for those that don't know, they are originally, they come from Afghanistan, but they are the Afghani people that look Mongolian. Those are called the Hazara. So yes.
Hazaras, yeah. Yazid is asking, the Sunni defense, why do the Shias roll around in mud and call it worship? Well, they basically have scholars propagating that anything for the mourning of Hussein is accepted. This is why you have these very, very strange and humiliating pagan-like rituals where, they roll around in mud, or they beat themselves, they cut themselves, they whip themselves, any form of pain. Yasser al-Habib famously said, anything as long as you're not losing your limbs. And he even said, what was it, suicide, if you die by accident, it's okay, kind of thing. So anything goes.
You'd go at the sacrifice towards al-Hussein, yes.
Yeah, I guess you could get quite innovative with hurting yourself.
What do the Sunnis think of the 12 Imams? So if you're wondering about the Shia 12 Imams, Many Sunnis, we don't believe. We believe that 11 of these imams were righteous men, rahmatullahi alayhim. But we do not ascribe infallibility to them. They were not infallible, nor did they have qudra takwiniya, because that would kind of be strange, because two imams lived during the same lifetime. So I'm an imam and Ali is an imam. So Ali wants something, he wills something, and I will something else. Whose will is fulfilled? This we fall into kufr and shirk at this point. So yes, we don't ascribe this.
Let's just try to get through these really quickly, because
Yeah.
we've been on for quite a while. Omar is asking, how common is belief in tahrif? Well, it's not that common with the lay people. You do have some scholars who believe in it. The issue is that 12ers have adopted their religion from scholars who believed in tahrif. This is the issue. Is there still Daesh in Iraq? So Mark Twain is asking.
So it's not so much of Daesh, it is more of the ideology. The ideology, yes, it is still anywhere in the world you would find it, especially people that see the crimes of the Shia, the Shia militias, not the Shia ordinary civilian, just in case anyone wants to pull words out of context. When I refer to Shias, I refer to either the military, the corrupt members of the military, or the militias. So what? Yes. So it is the ideologies. Yes, it is still in Iraq, because I have met some Kurdish individuals that call or say that we are justified in carrying out attacks against Shias the same way they carry attacks against Sunnis, which is not justified Islamically, or from two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
Just because the Shia killed my family, I can go and kill their families. No, there's a big difference between retaliation and justice.
Well said.
Yes. So
Ali's asking, what media source can we trust to bring us news about what's going on in Iraq? And how can they not be biased? I would say don't trust any media source. Speak to people, man, like we're doing now. Speak to people.
yeah, I mean, subhanallah. One of the questions someone's asking that how we can support or what we can do. We're actually, I mean, the many displaced individuals in Salah ad-Din, in Mosul, in Diyala, in Anbar, and we are actually starting schools, mosques, and orphanages. So we are financially, the Sunnis, we are cut off from the relief efforts of the government. Kuwait and Saudi and Bahrain have donated generously towards these causes, but unfortunately, from the $2 billion that was given in aid, the Sunnis, we did not even see a fraction of that. Not even 3% was sent to the Sunni areas. So
sorry for cutting you. I'm just trying to get through
yes.
these quickly. There's so many questions. A Van DB is asking, why did you skip my question? I didn't intentionally. Please send it again. I'm just scrolling down. I'm trying to get to the bottom.
Yeah. Mark Twain. We may. Sorry, if Ali, if I can, if I were to share like a launch good page.
What we'll do, you could mention what you want to share now, and then we'll post it we'll pin it as a comment and post it in the video description.
Okay. So it's we're actually GoFundMe has actually closed our accounts, and because some of the funds were not
okay,
available.
So those who don't know what Bufatma's speaking about, he's been trying to raise money to open a school for Ahl Sunnah in his area. However, GoFundMe has closed the account because they don't accept money going into Iraq, I'm guessing.
Yes, yes. So we've found launch goods form and donate to, and inshallah we will be posting it soon on the YouTube description. All the funds actually go towards the people that are in need of this. Nothing goes to my pocket or to the Sunni defense. This I promise you, inshallah.
Yeah, just to be clear, any funding for this project that Fatima's working on, it's got nothing to do with the Sunni defense at all.
It has nothing. This is just, it's for locals of Iraq.
It's a good cause though, so sure, we'll post a link. Quickly, these you got to answer these really quickly. You want to get through all of them. How religious are the average Shia Iraqi, and how religious are the average Sunni Iraqi?
I can't comment. At least in my hometown, are not very religious, especially the young men. It has shifted. The closer you are to being religious, the more chances of you disappearing and being found up in a ditch, in a gutter. So many many of Ahl Sunnah have tattoos saying Ya Ali on their chests and on their arms, like we're right above their biceps. And they're heavily influenced by Shia culture. Many of them, like when you tell them, swear by the name of Allah, اقسم بالله أو احلف بالله وَالله Ali, by Allah Muhammad and Ali. So subhanallah, I mean the disease, you know, it's yeah, subhanallah. As for Shias, I mean, actually from just reading the Quran, you know, they'd ask, you know, it's for instance, I heard this out of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ ادْعُونِي أَسْتَجِبْ لَكُمْ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has equated dua to ibadah, so dua being ibadah. The Imam, the Sayyid, his Sheikh tells him, no, you know, this is, you seek ibadah and dua of Allah from Allah through the Imam. This becomes halal. So, I mean, obviously, I was in the area of Kadhimiyya. I could not speak up, or else I'd be considered Wahhabi and most likely executed, you know, or at least jailed for. But yes, I mean, it's a negative experience for both ends. The closer the Shia, the further away he steps away from Islam, and the closer he comes to the Quran, the closer he is to Islam and to Ahl Sunnah. Subhanallah.
Okay. Before I ask the next one, everyone in the comment section. So there's 50 odd people here. If you haven't already, please subscribe to. I'm not going to say the Sunni defense. I know you're already subscribed. Subscribe to Ibn Hussein, Hassan Shamrani's channel. He's got some good stuff on there and some more great stuff coming out. So Ibn Hussein, EBN space HUSSEIN. Please make sure you subscribe to that channel. Next question. So this is from What Canib. How successful have been the Mosul demographic change efforts that you spoke about?
SubhanAllah, Shia and Al-Waqf al-Shi'i has taken mosques in Mosul. The last time like Shia lived in Mosul was something like 600 years ago or 400 years ago. So I mean, the fact that they managed to take 40 mosques is showing that they repopulate the area with a considerable amount of Shia. But I mean, also Mosul is a very big city. I mean, Mosul isn't Samarra, where you literally look at someone and you can tell which family he is from by his facial appearance, or by the people or the area he lives in. I mean, Mosul has what? Mosul is like 6 million people. In 2000, this was like in 2006 or so, or 2003. So I mean, it has only expanded since. But yeah. So I mean, they attempt to send a considerable amount. This I believe to be happening. So next question.
Alrighty, hold on. I think we're close to the end. There was one. Okay, so Mark Twain is asking, how can we donate, if that's possible? And Nadim is asking, do any Shia revert to Ahl Sunnah in Iraq? And those will be the last two.
Yes. So there are many Shias that actually come out and said we are Sunni now. Some like Mu'ammamin, like big scholars, and they were forced to flee Iraq. And one of the most famous ones is Hussein al-Mu'ayyad. And Ali, I believe you know Hussein al-Mu'ayyad.
No, I don't know him personally.
No, but sorry, you know of him, I should say.
I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, so Hussein al-Mu'ayyad is a very big individual. What's his name? Actually, Ammar al-Hakim is his brother-in-law. So, former brother-in-law. So, but many of the Shias,
I just remembered. So, speaking about ex-Shia scholars, we got contacted by the grandson of Ayatollah Burki. So, Ayatollah Burki was an Ayatollah in Iran, Shi'i, and he became Sunni. Very interesting story, and his grandson would like to come on the show and explain his story. So yeah, just look out for that one.
SubhanAllah. Yeah, no, Ayatollah Burqa, rahmatullah alayh. They say he was so beautiful he had to wear a burqa. Yeah, so SubhanAllah. Yeah. What else? 1400 years.
Okay, last question. Yes. We'll give it we'll do one more. Shabazz Ali's asking, have you seen Shia militia disrespecting our Sunni figures openly in Sunni towns?
Yes. I mean, I have pictures of graffiti right by Shia barracks. It's لعن الله أبو بكر عمر, wa Uthman, you have pictures of Shia militiamen. Yes, you have. This is in Sunni areas. I mean, I doubt a Sunni would sneak up to an army barracks or a militia barracks and and spray that. But or what was it? Soldiers in Iraq that go into Sunni areas and start عائشة, or holding Yasser al-Khabith's book Al-Fahish al-Wajh al-Akhar li-Aisha publicly, just to enrage Sunnis. And Sunnis, because there is no military strength.
Do check out our other documentary. It's called Shia Hate Speech, I believe, where we basically explain that. Yazid is asking, in Iran, do they worship Zuljana? Okay.
Sorry, what? Zuljana.
All right. Okay. I will say this. In the video that I was talking about that's coming out soon, I will elaborate on Zuljana the horse and his great fighting skills, by the way. Zuljana is a great warrior. Yeah. He kills people. He kills
50 people.
Yeah. And no, in Iran they don't worship Zuljana. No, Zuljana is more common in the Indian subcontinent, and people seek blessings from it. They beat their chests for models of it. Sure, there's horse worship going on there. No doubt, no doubt, and this is what happens when you're so lax with religious innovations. It leads to stupidness like that and many other
Uh,
things. But yeah,
if,
there will be a video on
if
it.
I
So
may,
just
if I
stay
may
tuned.
answer, if I may answer Discord alt,
Go for it.
yes, yes. Some of actually many of the masajid or some masajid were actually taken and converted into Husayniyat, where they beat themselves, uh, and or masajid that have names of historically Sunni scholars have been changed. For instance, uh, Masjid in Basra, there was a masjid of Zubayr ibn Awam, rahmatullahi alayh. It was taken over and changed, and the name was changed. Or some, it was firstly demolished, then they rebuilt it, changed the name, I believe it was, or parts of it was demolished. I'm not sure of the reason of the demolition, though, or parts of it. Wallahu alam. So I can attribute it. The Masjid Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahmatullahi alayh. That got changed into Masjid al-Imam Ghazi, or Masjid Sheikh Ghazi. Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullahi alayh, was changed into Masjid al-Tabul. Give me a sec. Actually, the picture that you see on my icon, that's the Masjid of Sheikh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah in Baghdad. It was called right now Masjid Jami' al-Tabul. I mean, it's
So it's not
this
allowed
does.
to be called Masjid Ibn Taymiyyah anymore.
No, it's not. His books. You think they're going to allow a piece of paper with his name on it, let alone a masjid for him? I mean, it's subhanallah.
Okay,
SubhanAllah.
last question, then I'll wrap it up. Ibn Umar is asking, how can I be part of the Sunni defense? You're more than welcome. If you look at my little avatar, you've got @bu_noor89. That's my Twitter account. Just send me a message and we'll speak. If you've got something to offer us, why not? Why not?
Well, and we
Let's
have to
wrap
pay
up.
allegiance.
Yeah. Fatma, barakallah feek. This
I mean,
was a fascinating yet depressing conversation. We look forward to having you on again in the future. I'm sure people are going to want you on, inshallah. So yeah, you're more than welcome in future streams. You've given us a very raw, real perspective of the events in Iraq. Also, a very honest
inshallah.
one as well. So thank
Inshallah.
you.
And if for any, I'm not sure if وإياكم, inshallah, it was my pleasure to spread this. In case anyone is looking, there are actually news article links to these claims about the militias running drugs, heroin, girls, prostitution across into Iraq from Iran, as well as to the crimes. There are even pictures of areas, Sunni areas that have been
Just send them
completely
to me
wiped.
and I'll post them.
Inshallah.
Yeah, just send them to me. I'll post them in the description. Yazid is saying one last question. Go on, Yazid, just for you. But you got to be quick.
Shia hate Umar more than any other Sahaba because he conquered, assassinated empire. Yes. Yeah.
Well, and of course they believe he killed Fatima.
Yes. Yeah. In one episode, and Sayyidina Ali was just watching.
Yep. Yeah, that's been refuted to death on our channel. We got a handful of videos on that topic. The last one was really good, mashallah. The brothers who worked on that. It was called Omar Attacks Fatima, Fabrication or Fact. So it was a response to Rafid.org. Okay, so Yazid, what's his question? How often do normal Shias do taqiyya to infiltrate Muslims? I knew it was going to be something silly.
Actually, in Samara, it happens quite often. But, I mean, they'd say, like, and people like people know. I mean, you flag a cab, you know, and this guy is like dark. People of Samara, generally speaking, are very light, you know, for generally speaking. But yeah, so for so you'd flag a cab, and the guy is like dark, and his accent isn't an accent from the people of Samara, and then he'd drive by the checkpoint of Sarai Salam, and then he looks at them. It's like, and he'll say these murtaddeen, these kafara, we should bomb or we should do this to them. And if you agree with him, your chances are there's a listening device, or you'd be arrested. And yes, Allahu alam, what happens to you. And then it's like, no, but we have to say no, our honor, and they protected us, and all that's horse rubbish, you know, to push away suspicion from our beliefs. You know, we don't like the Shias, but we have to say in Samara that, you know, without them we would have been a Daesh enclave, a Daesh safe haven.
All right, and I'll leave with Yazid's quote on screen. We need Shia taqiyya awareness. Yeah, we do, man. We do. You should do something on it, man. Okay, let's wrap up, guys.
Yes.
May Allah bless you all. Thank you for joining us. Thanks again to Mufatma. We look forward to hearing from you or having you on the show in the future. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.